Xenoverse 3. This is a game we've obviously waited for a very, very long time now at this moment in time, and we still do not have an official announcement in any way, shape, or form. But hopefully, this year in 2023, we could potentially see the announcement for this game. And honestly, DLC 16 has quite a bit to do with that in terms of the speculation around it, because DLC 16, whether or not another DLC is announced with this one when it actually does come out, will be a major factor in terms of people starting to speculate majorly on whether or not we actually have a chance of seeing a Xenoverse 3 announcement this year. Because honestly, the last 3 to 4 DLCs, I want to say at the very least, they have announced that there will be more DLCs to come in the future with those release trailers or at some point in time on the Kantan City TV events. Well, again, if that doesn't happen with DLC 16, then the major speculation really starts to come in about Xenoverse 3 and it potentially, again, getting announced this year. Now, besides that, there have been some things that I've been really looking into and thinking about, and it may show that Xenoverse 3 is more likely to happen more than ever, I guess you could say. Now, these are not like concrete things. These are just stuff that I've looked at from other games, other major Dragon Ball games, and another major anime game, which is Storm 4, and just really may be coming to an end, like I said before, in that video talking about DLC 16 potentially being the final update. Because let's look at the Dragon Ball based games first, right? Let's look at Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ is a fighting game just like Xenoverse 2, but obviously that is a fighting game that is actually accepted in the FGC and taken much more seriously than a Xenoverse 2 because it is a traditional 2D fighter. Now, Dragon Ball FighterZ is no longer really getting DLC content, at least we don't think so at this moment in time, but there still is a next-gen version coming of the game, and there also is rollback netcode coming to a game, or coming to that game. Those are two major things for a game like that without a doubt, so it's kind of understandable why, as of right now, there is no more DLC coming to the game. I do assume when rollback and next gen is actually implemented that there will probably be some more DLC to come after that, but again, that is just my assumption. Now, when you look at Xenoverse 2, something like next gen and rollback netcode would be great features for this game. But at the same time, if Xenoverse 3 truly is planned to be announced sometime in this year or even the next year, why would they make a next-gen version of Xenoverse 2? So the simple fact that there is no next-gen version at all in the works, and it doesn't seem like there is going to be one, really makes me feel that is because they are saving Xenoverse 3 for that next-gen experience. Same goes with Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, another game that is getting a next-gen version, and this game clearly is not ending anytime soon, similar to FighterZ. FighterZ is not going to end anytime soon due to rollback being a thing, and then of course next-gen being a thing at some point in time, and we still don't even know when that's going to come out. Kakarot literally releases in a day in terms of their next-gen update and their newest DLC, but there's also still at least 2 more DLCs coming to Kakarot at the same time. So we know this game is also going to be around for quite some time afterwards, not only because of the DLC, but it did get a next-gen version as well. The only Dragon Ball game to have no next-gen announcement, or the only major Dragon Ball game out of the 3 at this moment in time between FighterZ, Kakarot, and Xenoverse, it's Xenoverse. Xenoverse is the only one not to have a next-gen announcement in any way, shape, or form. Again, this could be because they are saving that next-gen specifically for Xenoverse 3, and Xenoverse 3, out of all those games to have a sequel, is probably the closest out of the 3, because I do think eventually we will get like a Dragon Ball Super Kakarot, and it's most likely why we're not seeing Super content in the DLCs at all, because once Super gets animated again and we bring in the Moro arc, we bring in the Granola arc, at that point in time there would be like 4 to 5 arcs that you could make a full-on game out of from Dragon Ball Super alone. So I truly think they are saving that when it comes to Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, and eventually we'll make a Dragon Ball Super Kakarot down the line once the anime does come back and those arcs actually do get animated. But for now, they're doing things like movie-based stuff. They're going to be going back to OG Dragon Ball. And again, these DLCs usually do have quite a bit of a gap between them. Like the Trunks DLC to the Bardock DLC, that was like over a year and a half before we actually saw that. I don't think there'll be as big of a gap now, since this will be actually a season DLC, but they'll probably still be like 6 months apart in between DLC, so Kakarot will be getting content for at least another year, if not even longer after that. So again, these games, like I said, Fighters and Kakarot, clearly have plans for the future still going, while Xenoverse 2 is kind of up in the air, especially if we don't get another DLC announcement in regards to Xenoverse 2 after DLC 16, then I think it's really safe to say at that point in time that the speculation for Xenoverse 3 being announced this year will really start to rise, because again, no more DLC, no next gen, no rollback, no none of that. That would really make me feel like we are finally moving on from Xenoverse 2 at that point in time. But now let's look at another game that is a major anime seller in Storm 4. Storm 4 was supposed to be the final, and I mean the final Storm game. I believe it was literally said at one point in time from the CC2 producers or something like that, that Storm 4 was actually going to be it for that series. And I truly think that they intended Storm 4 to be the finale of Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. I mean, it is the end of Shippuden in terms of story-wise, and then you go into Boruto. So again, I truly do think that they intended for that to be the end, but at the same time, when you have a game so successful, it is hard to deny that game another installment in the series, a sequel to that game. Like, when a game sells 9 million copies, and it is the best-selling game in that franchise ever, again, it is hard to deny another installment in that series, and it does look like Storm is finally going to be getting another game at some point in time in Naruto Storm Connections. Now, that is the name that we have been given at this moment in time, and it's also the name that was trademarked by Bandai, I believe, in Japan as well. So the simple fact that Naruto Storm Connections was trademarked by them, and also the homie Senju in Japan is putting out a lot of stuff in regards to like speculation and hints about the game as well, truly makes me feel like the game will happen at some point in time, and maybe potentially announced this year as well. Like, think about that. What a year it would be to have Storm 5 and Xenoverse 3 announced in the same year. Because think back, in 2016, Storm 4 and Xenoverse 2 came out in the same year. I mean, damn, it would be great to relive that kind of a year for anime gaming. I'm just saying. But again, Storm 4 never had plans to continue, but they saw the overwhelming success and how the game still would be selling till this day, and just could not deny another sequel because they know the money that will come from it. Well, Xenoverse 3 is a game that has sold just as well as Storm 4 did, and this is a game that I believe they've always had plans for a sequel for, because they actually kept DLC going throughout all this time for Xenoverse 2, through all the COVID stuff and all things like that, when that was not the case with Storm. Storm was a game that was supposed to be the last one in the series, and it really didn't get DLC updates, except for here and there. I believe when the Boruto came out, they got DLC for that, and then they also got a Kawaki DLC down the line as well, but nothing nearly as consistent as Xenoverse 2. So the simple fact that they came out of nowhere and are bringing back a Storm Connections game in the next installment in the series makes me feel even more confident in Xenoverse 3, because this is a game that has always sold just as well as Storm, and then also at the same time, this is a game that it seemed like they definitely had plans for to go into the future with a next game in the series from the very beginning. When you look at the websites, I mean, Xenoverse 2 and Xenoverse 3 website domains were literally made on the same day, and then also, like I said before, this is a game that actually has been supported through all this time, because I do believe, unlike Storm, they always had plans for a Xenoverse 3 at some point. But also, when you look at the success of this game, that makes you even more confident in it, especially since Storm is getting a new game after all these years, or will be getting a new game at some point in time after all these years. So when you look at those three major anime games, it really makes me feel like Xenoverse 3 is more likely to happen than ever before when I look at these things in particular. Because if Xenoverse 3 was not going to happen, and they were going to continue content for Xenoverse 2, you would imagine that they would make a next-gen version for the game, especially since out of all of these games, except for Storm, it is the oldest out of the three Dragon Ball games. It's older than Fighters, it's older than Kakarot. So if they were going to continue more and more content for this game, out of all of them, the one that needs the upgrade the most would definitely be Xenoverse 2, considering, again, it is the oldest out of the three as well. And then a rollback netcode would be something that would be great for Xenoverse at the same time. But again, the fact that we're not getting anything like that does make me a bit more confident in Xenoverse 3 happening and potentially maybe even being announced this year. So let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comments, because of course this is speculation at the end of the day. This is your boy looking deep into some other things, looking into other games, how they've been treated in comparison to Xenoverse 2, all things like that. And at the end of the day, I do feel, again, like what I talked about in this video does make me a bit more confident in the fact that Xenoverse 3 will happen at some point in time. That is just a matter of when, in my opinion. Like, I am truly confident in this game, and stuff like this makes me even more confident in it as well. So let me know what you guys think about this down below in the comments. Do you agree with some of the points I made and how I compared it to other games? When you look at it, like I said, no next gen, no rollback, no nothing like that. And then when you look at a game like Storm was a game that was pretty much supposed to be done. That's why they really didn't get many DLCs after what was initially planned. And out of nowhere, due to the game's success, it seems like it will be getting another installment in the series. Unlike Xenoverse 3, which has had the same success, I should say, and then also did still get DLCs throughout its whole lifespan. So again, it just really makes me feel like Xenoverse 3 is that much more possible. But like I said, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. And as always, man, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, hope you guys have a good one. Peace, y'all.